it's Lindsay and Dan. And we are coming on here to say we've been keeping a secret.
Big secret.
Big secret. So we decided full-time living, and to do so, we decided to trade in our Airstream.
Boo.
Boo. But yay, because...
Big yay.
Big yay. Because we decided to buy a Brinkley. A Brinkley travel trailer. It's a Model I 235, and there's a few reasons. So we'll dive into it, but for a synopsis, basically more space.
Has a slide out to make it much wider than the Airstream.
It's taller.
It's longer.
Longer by 7 feet.
You can stand up in the shower.
You can stand up in the shower.
Have a work desk area.
Very important. Comfy
Bigger
chairs.
bed.
Bigger bed. That's kind of the biggest one, because Airstream was skinnier than a full. And yeah, for this tall guy, me, and 2 dogs, it's hard. And then other things.
Bigger tanks.
Bigger tanks.
More powerful AC.
More powerful inverter. So the inverter can actually power more outlets, and it can power the AC itself.
Overall, huge win.
Huge win. It feels much more kind of homey inside. It's not just like a giant soda can, which is nice in some ways and has a great aesthetic, but I think this one fits a more home vibe, and it's bigger, and we have more storage, lots more storage.
For us, the Airstream was the best for what we realized was our week-long trips, 2-week-long trips, weekend trips. But when we went to New Hampshire to visit family, I think we quickly realized that we wanted to do it full time, and the Airstream being 20 feet, limited in space, wasn't going to cut it for working full time. Yeah, I think we made the right decision.
Yeah, and definitely for storage and just like lifestyle, like living in it. The Airstream taught us so much, and we cherish like all of our memories with it.
All 3 months.
All 3 months. 3 months.
A lot happened in 3 months.
Yeah, we went a lot of places.
10,000 miles or so.
Yes, we went a lot of places, learned a lot, got a lot of gear, got into and realized that we loved RVing, and then it really was the inspiration for doing it full time. So we have all positive things to say about it. It's just, it was time for a change.
Time for a change. Just like in a lot of the videos we've watched, once you get into it, you always want something bigger. There's always something else.
Yeah.
But we're hoping that this one's gonna last us, what? at least.
Yeah, this
At least
guy's
a
already
while.
looking at 5th wheels, but
It feels gonna be perfect.
Yeah.
But we love what we have now. Gonna take advantage of it. We got a lot of fun trips planned, a lot of good stuff coming up. The whole circuit in Colorado for the fall to see all the foliage.
yep. And then we're gonna make our way to California. So we'll chug through. We might either go back towards Zion or who knows, down in Arizona. So a lot more fun coming their way. But let's dive into why we made the switch and get into the details. So stick around. So today is the day that we trade in our Airstream. But it's exciting news because we are getting a new 235 Model I Brinkley. And a few of the reasons that we've decided to make the change is 1, space. So we're gonna get a lot more space and storage. So as you can see here, kind of our storage is really these cabinets up here. And to be honest, when you have stuff up here and you normally put it in bins so it doesn't like fall out. Some people put mirrors up there so they can see what's in the back, but it becomes kind of a struggle, and the Brinkley kind of comes with more storage options, up and down cabinets, and they close lifting up so it's a little bit easier to get in there, and these guys don't fall out. Whereas we've come in from many trips and these have been just on the floor with some of our stuff on the floor. It's kind of like a gamble on what kind of has fallen down. Another big reason is the bed. So we are in kind of a full-size bed in this Airstream, and we just like climb over each other to get in. And with 2 dogs, like Dan is 6'3", 6'4", and his head is like all the way up here, and then his feet are kind of hitting the base down here in these little cupboards. And for laundry, like we use these for laundry, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but we're gonna literally have 2 hampers in the Brinkley. And then as far as other reasons, the fridge. So for fridge and travel, we can kind of only fit like maybe 2 to 3 days worth of groceries in this fridge. So we're looking to upgrade into a much bigger fridge with a much bigger freezer. And then as far as the kitchen goes, we should be getting more space kind of in the kitchen with the bigger fridge and whatnot. And then we are also going to have dishwasher prep. So we get back some counter space by not having our dish rack over here, which is really exciting. And then as far as like pantry cabinet, we're gonna have a lot more space than what we currently have. Another big seller is the shower. So currently Dan is 6'4", so he and I'm 5'6", so I fit pretty fine, but I still squat down to take a shower, and Dan is all the way like up here. So the shower that we're gonna be getting is much bigger, much kind of nicer. It's kind of a full sheet ceramic, so it's like has no seal lines where water can get in, whereas there's kind of a lot of sealant that happens in here. So for cleaning purposes and just making sure mold and stuff doesn't grow, the shower is going to be much more ideal. And then bathroom storage, we kind of just have what's under here for like towels and stuff. We've had to like get kind of thinner towels to kind of mitigate it, but we're gonna have a whole kind of large pantry for that, so it should be much nicer. And then we get a lot more space than what's just behind this mirror for our toiletries. And then another thing is the dinette. As much as we love the dinette and converting it into a bed, kind of going in between bed and table becomes a bit of a pain. So with the Brinkley, we're gonna have some nice seated movie style chairs, and then we'll have a table that we can pull out and put away just very, very easily. And we'll be much kind of better for work situations. So either Dan or I can be in the chairs with a table that's angled, or a standing table, and then one of us can be at the main table, or we can sit side by side because the table is just that big. So kind of those main things. So bed is the biggest one, I think, for both of us. Storage, kind of useful storage, being able to get to our storage more easily. Fridge and kitchen, another big one. And then work surface, just having more space, longer, and all of that. So we're really excited. Hi, I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Dan.
And we are here to talk about our trade-in for our RV. So we had a 2023 Caravel 20 FB, which we loved, but we did end up trading it in for a Brinkley Model I 235. And so we wanted to come on here and give you background on why, and maybe help someone making the decision between making the switch or understanding the nuances behind full-time living versus maybe a weekend warrior compact Airstream. So the first thing is just for us, kind of our reasonings behind having an RV and what we wanted to do changed. So that's completely normal, and needless to say, I think RVing gets a little addicting once you start doing it, and it's obviously not for everyone to do full time, but we made a decision that we wanted to after a short period of time in our Airstream. And I think the biggest thing is it became kind of pretty obvious early on that we needed to upgrade. But first I'll get into the differences between the brand and why we went with Airstream in the first place. So the biggest thing was kind of how iconic the brand is. So we've always kind of dreamed of having an Airstream, and fun fact, 70% of all Airstreams are still on the road, so we knew that it was a durable RV. They're known for kind of luxury and having good high quality. We also had like a really terrific sales experience with Airstream as well, and just all the warranties and everything just seems like they take care of their customers and have great service, and all of that. So that was a huge selling point. And another thing I think for switching to the Brinkley, we actually stumbled upon the brand, and it's actually a newer brand. So they came to life in 2022, and it's actually from like veterans from Grand Design. So they came from another pretty reputable brand and created their own RV brand. And so it's pretty cool, and they've actually won 2 awards in 2023 and 2024 for quality, and they kind of came out as this new luxury, but affordable in some ways compared to Airstream. Some of the bigger models for Airstream, it just was getting up there for something that we maybe didn't want to spend. So we compare that there. But the features are really nice, and the brand also had really good quality and reliability for service. So that was something that attracted us. And then jumping into kind of livability and why we made the change. So I'll let Dan kind of talk on that.
Yeah, the Airstream we found very quickly when we decided we wanted to go full time was way too small. For those familiar with Airstreams, I think they're all basically 8 feet wide, and then when you have the cabinets, the table, the dinette, you really only have a couple feet for an aisle to be able to walk down it. So that was a big thing for us. We would have to kind of shuffle by each other just to get to the kitchen, to the dinette, to the bedroom, or the bed. Which brings me to the next point, is that the bed in the Airstream was extremely small, and we have 2 dogs that like to sleep with us every night, and just given that it was like a full-size bed that wasn't even really a full-size bed because it was curved, it was just too small to comfortably live in. We basically tested living in it when we went to New Hampshire to visit some family, and it was pretty tough. And the other thing about livability for me was the shower was only about 6 feet tall after the little floor mat that we had in it. So I was ducking down just to try to take a shower. The wand was very small, so it was just pretty uncomfortable for full time. And then lastly, it's just the general space that was in it. Kind of what we're getting at is a 20-foot Airstream. For us, by no stretch of the imagination, is a full-time RV. So we looked at the Brinkley, and it fit our needs a lot more with storage and size. And it's worked out pretty well.
I think storage was a big one. We had the Airstream for a weekend warrior, I think, would be like sufficient, or even if you're traveling for like a month, I think that's totally doable to have that space. But for full time and having all like your gear and everything with you, the Brinkleys also have large pass-throughs, which are much more like outdoor kind of storage. And then as far as for me, one of the bigger things was also the fridge. So the fridge, a little bit bigger than like a dorm style fridge in the Caravel 20FB, but so we could really get away with 2 to 3 days of groceries for the most part. So we're going back to the store pretty frequently. And for those that also are interested in like boondocking, that's not ideal. But with the Brinkley, we now have a full fridge that's even bigger than most RV fridges for this size. But the biggest selling point was the fridge for me, and just having more space. So we get 2 to 3 days in the Caravel 20FB, and for this one we get more of a week style, and having a bigger freezer also helps you keep food longer as well. So that's a big thing. And then we also have his and her closets in here, so that's really nice to have that and more storage, so much more storage. One of the downsides as well was the sliding cabinets that we had in the Airstream. While probably a cool, fun concept, and they always kind of state that they shouldn't open because they're sideways, we had huge problems with them opening. Every single time we were finishing a trip, we were going inside the Airstream guessing what fell. And most of the time it was the slider door popping off and stuff had fallen out, but we have only had one experience in here, and we were going down probably a road that we probably shouldn't have gone down. It was a little bumpy. But other than that, only one thing fell out. And so that's the only thing we've experienced for the first month and a half we've been living with this, and we've been traveling pretty frequently. And yeah, so those are big things. And then we'll move into kind of like the tank sizes, because that's a huge thing as well for full-time living. Smaller tanks mean smaller amount of, or more times that you have to dump your tanks. And so for people that are interested in boondocking or just want to go for a little bit longer without having to dump their tanks, or let's say you stay at a site that doesn't have a attached on-site dump station that you have to go to, your chances of having to leave and come back to the site to dump increase. So for the Airstream, it's from freshwater gray to black. It's a 23, 30, 18. And then for fresh gray to black, it's a 55, 45, 45. So we made quite the jump in tank sizes. I will give one shout out to Airstream. They, for their tank monitoring system, have a percentage system, which you can see. So you can see how high or low your tanks are based on percent. The Brinkley does kind of follow the more like quarter style, third style that some of the other RVs have. So it's a little less accurate for how much you have left in your tank.
Less precise.
Less precise, that's a good word. But that's kind of one of very little cons. And then I guess we'll dive into kind of construction and quality. So I'll let Dan lead this.
Yeah, that one for me is, the Brinkley is, in my opinion, made extremely well. They have this, it's called Craft Sense Construction, I believe it is, where like there's no exposed nails, anything like that, or no exposed screws. It's put together very well, and like it has a much more residential feel to it than our Airstream did. You know, the Airstream has that classic, iconic, you know, aluminum look, but this just feels like a home. It feels something like we can stay for a month in or 2 months in a row without, you know, feeling like we have to go to like a hotel or back to our house to feel more residential. You know, everything from the cabinets to the floors to the counters, the shower, it just feels much more like, you know, an apartment on wheels, rather than, you know, an aluminum can. But again, that's the great thing about Airstreams, is that they have that classic look and feel. So nothing against that. I just much more prefer the livability and the residential feeling of this Brinkley.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think the quality that they put into it and the features, like even the handles are really nice quality. They added hooks in spaces that were like smart. And I think what they do too is they send some people out before they send out a model to test things out for anything that might need to be upgraded or fixed. And I definitely, you can tell that here because there's like smart touches, like a laundry basket. There's the foot things for under the cabinets for when you're washing dishes so your feet don't hit the front side. They added little cabinet bumpers. They added little cabinet bumpers so that your cabinets don't get dinged. They wanted to improve upon the space, so even they came up with a table design that pulls out and can retract back in and be flush with the fireplace, which I think they're the first to do that. So and it definitely opens up the space. I think it creates an open space. So really smart touches. And then I guess that takes us into kind of like other features that they tried to get creative with. The projector. So they got really creative with the projector because like they wanted to add more large windows and also the option for watching TV outside, which is in theory like really awesome and really great. And I know they also played around with other models having a fogging window and they stopped doing that. So we have the projector in ours without the fogging window, but it has a pull down projector screen for inside outside. And it is a cool feature for outside. This is probably Dan's least favorite.
I'd much prefer a regular TV. It's a cool concept, but we're finding ourselves constantly having to adjust it. It's really annoying to have to try to make the projector a square on the screen, which seems to get messed up quite often. But besides that, once you do get it running, it's completely fine for the most part. The speakers are a bit wonky because it plays over the different speakers in here. So unless we just haven't figured it out yet, it plays pretty loud in the kitchen. But that's also connected to the one above our heads, which isn't as loud. So we're still playing around with it, getting used to it. But overall, I think I'd prefer a standard TV that's just there, or maybe one of the telescoping ones that comes up from, a cabinet or something. But yeah, it does give you the ability to have a massive, kind of window, which is in front of us right now, and we're just kind of looking over the hills of Colorado.
Yeah, and it's always a trade-in because with small spaces you have to get creative. But overall, I do think Brinkley got really, really creative and used things smart, and it turned out really great. So we're very, very happy with the brand and all the features, but we want to be as honest as possible in our review of these things, and I think that's one of them. But one other feature that we really do like is the large kind of fireplace in here. We've been using it in summer. We have tried it once for putting out heat. It puts out decent heat. You can change the flame color. You can even set a timer for it. And that creates a really nice ambiance that we really enjoy. Other features that we really like, we do like the height of the Brinkley itself. It's much higher than the Airstream, so we get higher clearance. And then there's some safety features with towing that this also came with.
Yeah, it's a dual axle, which is really nice. I know Brinkley has a particular suspension system that they use for anti-sway, and also to reduce the amount of bumping around that it's doing. I don't know the exact details of it, but Brinkley has a lot of really good videos that do go over it. Yeah, and I think hitching up is the exact same as the Airstream, so we didn't have to learn anything new there. But the towing experience for something that is 7 feet longer than the Airstream was, we really haven't seen much of a difference. It's the same to drive. I think it's more comfortable, especially with the 2500 truck right now. Towing the Airstream with the Land Cruiser, it was a little, you could feel it. It was getting up there close to the towing capacity of the Land Cruiser, but overall, I think just towing the Brinkley is very nice. It's safe, has really good safety features. So yeah, we like it. The other thing that's really nice about the Brinkley is when this slide is in, we can still access everything on the road. So if we had to come in here and grab something out of the fridge, or even go to the bathroom, or take a nap in the bed, never have done that, but we can. Or like if we're going to a harvest host, you know, we get there late, we're leaving in the morning, we don't have to put the slide out. We basically can come in here and live. And yeah, it's really nice. And when we do that, it's basically the same width as the Airstream, but still somehow feels much bigger. Obviously because it's longer and the bed's bigger, but yeah, higher ceilings. But yeah.
Yeah, I think those are like really big things for us, and overall, just like we mentioned, Brinkley. Yeah, we think the space, we definitely got a lot more with the slide that comes with it, and we were a little nervous because like we said, we're newer to RVing, so we were always like when we bought our thing, oh, we'll never need a slide, but it's crazy how easy and nice it is. And I think it's like a hydraulic slide too, so it's one of the higher ends of the slides that you can get. It has double what would you call that?
We're probably not equipped to talk about this. I think they're all hydraulic, but yeah.
But it's nice having the slide, and it's worked really well, and it's added so much space. But like Dan said, we can access literally everything still when it is in. And I think people mentioned it's Cracker Barrel ready. We haven't done that yet, so we can't really speak to that. But apparently,
when you go to Cracker Barrel, you can't use your slides. So if you park at a Cracker Barrel overnight, you can still live in it. So Cracker Barrel ready.
Yeah, so I think we'll dive into like kind of pros and cons of each, even though it's pretty hard to come up with cons of this current Brinkley. Like, we're very, very happy with the change.
I think we've talked through most of them too already.
Yeah. I'll go through my cons. I think one of them is the door. The door has been a struggle for me. It's just comes apart really easily, and gets stuck or pops open, and you do need the stairs to be pretty flush with the ground to make sure that it closes properly. But I think that can be, most people kind of struggle RV wise with those. Some other things, it's really hard to come up with cons in here. I guess separation of the bedroom. It'd be really nice to kind of separate your living space from the bedroom to that area. And then as much as I love the table, it's like a love-hate relationship with the table that rolls out. It's a fun, interesting concept, but it gets stuck sometimes, and having to pull it out and put it away. I know that was a big thing for us, and wanting like a bed that didn't have to be pulled out and everything. But pulling it out and putting it away can be frustrating sometimes, just to have a workspace there. But those are the biggest things for me.
Yeah, mine are, I guess, kind of similar. It would be nice to have a separated off bedroom, which we haven't had in an RV yet anyway, but it seems like it'd just be a nice to have. And then, yeah, I guess my love-hate relationship with the projector in here. Again, we're not always watching TV, but when we do want to settle down and watch it, it's just a process to get set up rather than a remote that turns it on, controls the volume. But yeah, I really don't have too many complaints about the Brinkley. It's, you know, compared to a lot of the different ones we've seen at some shows and I guess kind of just out in the wild, I think it's fantastic, and it's a perfect size trailer, I think, for anyone that's getting into full-time living or longer trips. Or I know a lot of videos that we watch, people even say a 30-foot one is a weekender. But something like this, I feel like, is fine for us for the full-time living, and yeah, we're really enjoying it.
Yeah. And then I think for Airstream, just quick top cons, definitely storage. And then the bed was a big con. I would have to climb over Dan to get out, and then it was skinnier than a full, so 2 with curved edges. So that was a tough one. And then I cook a lot, so the fridge was a big one.
Yeah, this is tough for me because the brand of Airstream is iconic, like Lindsay was saying, and so many people love them. I love it because of the fact it's what got us into RVing and everything. But by the end of owning it, and after seeing this, I really can't think of many things I liked about the Airstream. It was just way too small for somebody. I mean, I'm only 6'2", but still, having to work full time at the little dinette, and that was the only working space. You know, like I was saying, shuffling by each other just to like go to the bathroom or grab something out of the fridge. I'm just way happier with the Brinkley. So yeah, I think we made a good choice for our, you know, our situation with the 2 dogs, the livability, like we've already touched on. Having the slide, like Lynn said, is huge. But yeah,
And I hope this helps someone either look into the different brand options that they have, or look into the different background on why some people might go for bigger models versus others. So we just hope that this helps in some way. Again, we're not experts on any of this. We're just giving feedback as newbies to RVing and what we learned, what we went through, our iterations of changing our travel trailer. And we just hope you found this useful, and if you have any feedback or anything you want to hear, please write a comment below. And then if you like what you see, please hit that like button on the video and subscribe to our channel if you want more content like this. And we're so glad you're here, and we hope our travels inspire your travels, and happy traveling. Thank you.